Hi, it's me, Florian, from LifeScienceMentor.com. Today, I'm talking about day 2 of the 180-day 10 idea challenge. And day 2 was about finding 10 apps that would that you'd like to have, that would solve a problem you have, right? And I'm a bit frustrated because I just use the upload feature from iTunes, where you can, or YouTube, where you can directly upload videos on YouTube, and it just dropped the video after 20 minutes. Oh no! However, just doing it again. This time I'm using iMovie. All right. Without further ado, here they are. So first of all, I'd like to have an app that projects phone callers' images in 3D. Sort of like Skype meets Star Wars. You know the scene where Obi-Wan Kenobi, C-3PO, and Luke Skywalker sit in front of C2P2, R2D2, who projects an image, a 3D hologram of Princess Leia. If you could do something like that with Skype, with your friends, that would be pretty cool. And they're actually doing that already. I think Skype is working on a 3D program, and you can have 3D holographic keyboards, or maybe 2D holographic keyboards. But the point is that you can have a projector who you hook up to the computer, and then it projects a keyboard onto your table, and then it records the movements of your finger. So it can actually determine which key you pushed on the keyboard, and then translate that into a key that appears on your screen on the word software you use. So basically, the technology is there where you screen out holographic things and record the movements of other items that are in front of the camera. So it's probably conceptually a straightforward step to implement 3D Skype, and I would really love seeing that. Maybe the next step would be that instead of the internet, we have a big room where everyone can connect with each other through holograms, and then there's no distances anymore, really. I mean, you can see the person in person right in front of you, and the other person can also see you right in front of you without you having to be physically there. And well, who knows? Maybe in 100 years we have the technology to have like force fields that would simulate, us being real persons. It's still only a simulation, and it bears the same problems that the internet has when we all transitioned from normal phone calls to sharing social media. But I think it would be a cool technology to have, and there's a lot of chances next to risk. So a 3D Skype would be really extraordinary. Number 2, an app that shows my biorhythm every day. Now, the original concept of biorhythm is a bit of a voodoo and pseudoscience. Records basically says that your moods and physical ability fluctuates with what? With the moon phases, probably like every 28 days, and you can construct a sinus wave, and then you can see, oh, I'm really on top of my game in 10 days. And there was really no clear scientific base or clear based on experience what that biorhythm was funded upon. However, if you try to stick to a regular step that you do every day, maybe you write a book, one chapter of your book every day, you try to lose weight, you try to work out, and all just in simple daily life, you just simply have days where you don't proceed as much. Like, for example, I'm trying to lose body fat, and it's always like this. 2 days, I'm losing well, and then one day, frustratingly, body fat goes up. And it's just a measurement. I take the exact same diet, and it still gets these fluctuations. Over time, it goes down, right? And that's the important part. Now, if you had an app that would detect, you would feed these rhythms, right? You would feed like how you feel or how much you could write on a certain day, and then it would construct some cycles. So that it can tell you, wait, based on the pattern in the past 2 weeks, you had like 2 days where you really wrote a lot and one day where you barely wrote one sentence at all. Expect that tomorrow's gonna be a tough day again, or expect that in 2 days you have a really cool time writing. Then you can actually schedule your day, right? So maybe you know that tomorrow is not going to be a very productive day for you writing wise. Well, then you can just schedule some errands to run, right? And go out in nature, and then maybe even get more inspired. When you come home, you can indeed write a lot, but you could more easily have your days scheduled, and B, it would actually show you that on the long run, even though you have cycles of productivity and unproductivity, on the long run, you'll still get it done. It's basically an advanced versions of this checklist where you do 1x for every day that you worked on your problem, like Jerry Seinfeld did when he was doing one joke per day, checking that off, checking that off, checking that off, and he would never ever let anything deter him from making that check mark per day, inventing one joke per day, right? If you had an app that shows you that maybe tomorrow you'll be in a better mood than today, then you have also an easier time following your goals. That would be number 2. Idea number 3 would be an app that reminds me of conversations I had with people. Often I talk to someone, and then there's like 2 or 3 great impressions I had from that phone call, or 2 really noteworthy items, or this one time where he or she said, gosh, I wish I had XYZ, right? For example, your friend says, man, I tried to cook, but I just wish I had a bigger pan. I just never get around to buying one. Well, for the next birthday, you know what to get him. So this app would work like, sorry, you have a phone call, and then after the phone call, a window pops up where you can quickly note down 3 observations you had from that phone call. Next time you call that person again, that window pops up before and shows you all the points you took of note last time, and you can directly talk about that, and it's basically a little memory help that aids you connecting better with people, right? And you can also, if you don't know what to give somebody for birthday, or you had some thought about someone but you don't know who that one is, you have a database, you can look up all these things, right? So that app would help us better connect, because let's face it, we have an idea or we think of something, and 5 seconds later it's gone. So we hang up the receiver or end the phone call, and then we think, oh yeah, that was nice. That was nice. And then 10 seconds later we've all but forgotten about it. Number 3, or that was number 3. Number 4 would be an app that translates audio into a written transcript. I like listening to podcasts. There's one drawback though. Then there's like, let's say, Tim Ferriss podcast or Mike Cernovich podcast, or any other podcast. Then there's like 3 or 4 really great take-home messages. But if you don't write them down, then you kind of know that this podcast talked about that, but then you kind of have to listen again, find the point where you talked about it. So what if you had a software that turns audio into a transcript, right? So you could easily extract the important parts on each podcast, each audio file. And speech recognition software is not widespread. I looked for apps online, and they were not there, or very expensive and not really doing well according to customer reviews. So it's probably difficult to program speech recognition software, but I'm sure it can be done at one point. So that would be a neat add to have. Number 5. If I'm new in a different country, it would be good to be able to connect to different expatriates. And that actually means that, I have any legal issues, I need an attorney. For example, when I came to the US, I was on a visa, J1, then I was on an H1B visa, and then from there I transitioned onto a green card. Would have been great to have more contact to people that went through the same transition that I do. And then, and then being able to share direct experiences. So if I'm new in a country, living in a country, I could sign up to that app, and then when every time somebody new comes into the country, who's in your area, he could connect with you, and you could or she, and you could help each other. Um, because you both went through that, you have more experience, you can help the person, and you're not standing there like completely new and you don't know where and which to go. So if you had an app with an easy connection possibility, that would be great. Even also when you're just in holidays, it would be good um, to have some connections back home to your tribe or to your friends or potential friends and so on. Right. So that was number 5. Number 6 was an Uber for medical emergencies. Basically, when you sign up to that app and you have an accident or have a heart attack, or you see someone who has a heart attack, you can quickly check with other people who sign up to that app and who are in the vicinity. Then you don't need to wait 10 or 15 minutes until the ambulance comes, but you have a first helper already like just around the corner, and he's just behind just next door, and he doesn't really know that your spouse fell down the ladder and needs help, and you're this guy next door who would be able to help but doesn't know what's going on, right? So if there's like a message lighting up on his phone, oh, here very close by, somebody needs help, he can walk over and help that person directly, right? I believe that could be relatively easy to program. You would have to have some legal problems solved, like that. I think one of the biggest things that I've gathered so far that holds people back from helping others is that, if you don't do the first aid properly, the other person could actually sue you. Like there's an accident with their hand, and you kind of try to help them and they suffer permanent damage on their little finger, right? So then they try to sue you. That happens, unfortunately, and that can make people hesitant to help. So if you had some legal uh, uh, prohibitions that allow you to operate, not be punished for giving first help, that would be an element, and things like that would need to be solved. But the idea is basically there, and it would be an idea that can actually save lives. So that would be some app that I'd like to have. Number 7, an app where I type the ingredients of food or liquor I have at home, and it comes up with a recipe or like a cocktail I can make. So, for example, I only have a bottle of tequila, one bottle of gin, one bottle of vodka at home. What can I do? TGV, tequila, gin, vodka, equal times. That is an actual cocktail, but you don't know that until you have made that cocktail in the past, right? So you have a database with recipes and cocktails you could make. You type in your ingredients, and it shows you what cocktail you could make, or what dish you could cook, or maybe even dish that you could cook if you just got some eggs and oh look, that supermarket around the corner, they're just offered for cheaper. You can just go there and get it, right? That would be something useful. I'm sure that somehow already existing. Epicurious and other recipe apps certainly have that, but because it's basically a database where you type in what you need and it comes up with ideas. You can make it in a little. Maybe you can add something like choose some music that goes with your cocktail, or choose a wine that goes with your recipe, right? Or maybe even show you who else in the neighborhood has pancakes as his favorite food, right? You have flour at home, a little bit of milk, some apples. The program suggests you make an apple pancake, and your neighbor also loves apple pancakes, and so maybe you can have him over, or her, right? And that could be another way to connect, right? So that's that. Then often when you try to learn a new topic or look information on a specific topic, you Google it, and then you have 10 different web pages. If you go to the second page, it's 20 different. It's sometimes really difficult to extract the central points, and sometimes you want to just look something up and you don't need to go through all the text that is offered about that topic. So what about an app that you use like Google, but it basically shows you the 10 most important points gathered from the 20 nearest websites, right? So you have like, you want to learn more about, stay with the example of making cocktails. So it would show you what you need to do to get a cocktail, become a bartender, what you need to go through, the biggest important points to go, which grades you need, where do you need to get to school, what you need to learn, how much it costs, or what you need to develop, what you need to know about alcohol and cocktails and so on and so forth. And then you could even have some companies pay to have not only their content ranked high in Google, but now they would also pay to have your app showing summarizing more of their stuff, right? So you could make it more attractive for companies to get customers, and or it basically would make it very easy to distill the most important points. Sometimes you just don't have the time or are not willing to go through 20 different web pages, so it just distills the most important knowledge. And there are apps out there that where some put something in a text, it summarizes that text. So I'm sure you could program it that it takes like the text of the 20 highest ranking web pages and then summarizes them. So you would Google something, get the most important points without you having to actually really peruse Google. That would be an interesting app I would be interested in. Then we're number 9, an app that offers you freelancing jobs and opportunities based on your hobbies and interests. What I mean with that is basically imagine imagine you just like drop your favorite like MP3 player, or just drop a toy you really like. Now it could be repaired, but you don't really know why or know how, or you're chipping off your table some unfortunate movement, right? There's now a leg or an edge has broken. Now instead of buying a new table or buying a new audio recorder, whatever you have, maybe Joe down the street, he has this hobby of carpentry, right? And so now you could actually say you need help with carpentry, and then you know that Joe has these capabilities, is doing woodwork all the time since 20 years out of his own garage. So you can alert him now to your problem, and he can come and help you fix your table. That would be a basic, easy neighborly help, and it can help you connect to people, find better jobs. Sometimes we know we have skills that somebody needs next door, but we never get to ask the people because they're just living next door, and you're not going around and asking your whole neighborhood. Maybe in ideal cases you would, but then somebody else moves in, and so on and so forth. So if you know what the hobbies of people are, then you can satisfy a demand when one arises, right? That would be an app I'd like. And number 10 would be a meme generator for your own photos based on your moods. So basically you could type in your mood, have a photo, and then the program could make up a funny meme that you put on the photo, send out to your friends. Could also distill the moods from if you record your actions over a certain time, it could distill your moods, because maybe now today you're doing something different than what you normally do, or you're kind of slower doing something. So then based on your preferences, the program could infer that maybe your mood is not all too good, and base a meme on that you could put to a photo and send away, or maybe just play the meme back to you or something like that, right? So that would be a cute little gadget. And number 11 actually would be a minimalist app. So you would type in all the stuff that you buy and that you have, and then it would track your use of these items, right? Let's say you have a book that you have, or you have a TV and you don't use the TV, but you kind of always keep it because maybe one day I need it. Or you have this toolbox with some screwdrivers that really are of no use anymore because they're half broken, when people still keep that because one day they might need it, right? Might still need it. And then you accumulate lots of stuff that you really don't need. Yeah, you might, but you don't buy something just based on you might need it someday, right? You might as well just get rid of it. However, only if you have a listing that shows you over the 3 years you've never used that screwdriver, over the 3 years you've never watched TV, over 3 years you never read that book, or you just finished reading that book, and now you can actually then have an easier decision to give the item away. The app could have some second-hand stores in the vicinities that would have need of your stuff, right? Make a match, so you can just bring your TV over to the family next door whose TV just broke down, so you can just give it away or sell it to them. Or have a second-hand store next door that would just take it, or you can just trash it also. And so if the point is the app shows you how much you've used certain items in the past, and then it makes suggestion you could get rid of them. I'm sure you've seen, like, 5 years I haven't used my TV, then yeah, you might really never use it and you can give it away. It's actually similar to what I sometimes do when I'm not sure whether I should get rid of some books. I put them into a box and then see whether I forget about them or really need them. In most cases, I just forget about them. Then it's easy for me to get rid of them, right? Those are my 11 suggestions for ads. And I hope it inspires you a little bit or more. And check out my webpage, lifesciencementor.com. There's a link down there. And you can also look at day 1 and in the future other days of the challenge. And I hope you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments either to this video or to my to the associated blog post. Let me know what you think. If you have any additional ideas, if you wanna like join forces, maybe even some of those apps, or if you just simply enjoyed it, I'm happy to hear your comments, and I'll answer every single one of them. All right. Have a nice start in the week, and see you tomorrow for day 3.